All right, y'all. Good American Family, Season 1, Episode 4. We're going to jump right into it with the ghostwriter. Chris is supposed to be having a ghostwriter come over to the house to write a book for her because she's gotten all of this recognition from the ad, from being on the paper, from having the interview. She's just getting a lot of calls. So now she has a book deal, which is right on time because this is how she's able to make up for Michael being unemployed right now. And as we know, Michael has been given the task of taking care of Natalia. That means everything. That means making sure that she has her breakfast, making sure she has clothes, whatever, interacting with her, all of that. Because Christine wants absolutely nothing to do with it. And who can blame her, okay? Because she'd have been going out of my house a long time ago, acting the way she was acting. All right, I wanted to make sure that I touched base on this. When everything did open up, we do see Michael straightening up the house. And Christine is very frustrated because Michael is supposed to have Natalia dressed, fed, completely ready, and out of the house. She does not want this child in the house when the ghostwriter comes to interview her. So Michael, he doesn't even look like he's even dressed for the day. So I don't even know what Natalia looked like because he's still running around picking up stuff from downstairs, and she's like, you need to be out of here. Christine knows that Natalia hates her, and she wants her gone. But I don't blame her. I would want her gone too before she can have an opportunity to sabotage her. Because you remember that last time, actually she's been sabotaging her from the beginning. When she had to get up and speak at that event, she sabotaged her by yelling, "Mommy, mommy," knowing she don't even like that lady. Walking up on stage like she don't know right from wrong. That was sabotage. She tried to sabotage her with the interview that she had where she left the red colored hygiene product underneath the man's chair. These things are sabotage. The whole CPS thing, calling CPS, having them come out, and then telling them that she needs a foot surgery, and they say, okay, well, we'll be back after the foot surgery. This is how we can make sure she's being taken care of. That's all sabotage. But anyhow, so this ghostwriter comes over. I'm just going to read right off of my notes. I put up here, this ghostwriter can't be trusted. And the reason why I say that is because as she was talking to Christine, you can see at another angle that Michael had come into the house. Christine couldn't see him, but the ghostwriter could. And she saw him come in, and she asked Christine questions to see how Michael was going to react to how she answered the questions. And so basically, while all of this was going on, Michael, he sort of became disturbed, and he left. And so I don't know where he went, but shortly after he left, Jacob came running in, asking, "Where's Dad? Where's Dad? Where's Dad? Where is Dad?" Because something's going on. And Jacob didn't want to say, well, it's Natalia, but he eventually had to say it's Natalia. And then you have this ghostwriter back here looking and watching everything. This child then threw these things that was important to the kids out into the dang on street, knowing they was going to go and chase after it. So she pretty much tried to get these children killed. So Christine has to come clean with the ghostwriter. And the ghostwriter indirectly let Christine know that her life seems to be just a little bit too good to be true. And then after witnessing the incident where Ethan was almost hit by several cars, Christine had to come clean, and she had to go ahead and let the ghostwriter know that they went ahead and they adopted this child, and this is what was going on with the child. They did not want her to be a part of the book, the family, yada, yada, yada. And so she thought that she could just keep it away from the ghostwriter. And she asked the ghostwriter, she practically begged her not to tell her editor. So one of the things the ghostwriter told her is that, it's your life, it's your book. You can tell whatever story you want to tell. But when you're telling your story, you need to make sure that everybody around you is telling the exact same story. And this is when we see Christine has a need to have a very important conversation with Michael. And it goes as follows. So I'm going to tell you, Christine has absolutely had it. She has had it. All right. She told him that it has been 2 years. You've made your choice. I'm leaving. And that was that. And, he said to her, he was like, well, but I heard you tell the ghostwriter that I make everything possible. I make the impossible possible? And she said, Michael, it's not true anymore. And so we could sort of see that progression of that. So anyway, Christine goes home to her mother. She's not moving in because it's temporary. That's what she says. And her mom's face say, yeah, right, we'll see, something like that. Now, Natalie wants to know if Michael thinks that they're going to come back. So I'm really thinking, come on, Michael. Think, Michael. Why would a 9-year-old, because she's 9 now, why would she ask you that with a great big smile? Do you think they're coming back? Like, hey, I really hope they're not. I don't like how she was looking at Michael, even when she was saying that. She came into his room. I didn't like it. But anyway, he's blind and he can't see. Clearly, he needs to wear sunglasses. Like, y'all know the rest of that, right? Okay, so then there's what I got up here, a red tie phone call. He misses Christine and he uses a misplaced red tie, lucky red tie for his interview. So basically, he calls Christine up talking to her. He gets a voicemail and pretty much letting her know, asking, does she know where this red tie is? Because it's his lucky tie and so on and so forth. These two go back quite a ways, actually. We're going to talk about that in a second. But he didn't get her. So anyway, he messed up. He messed up big time because he had this really big interview. He wanted to wear this tie for his interview. He decided to wear something else. But I'm going to tell you where he messed up. He messed up by telling Natalia, if all goes well, the whole family could be back together again. We could really all get back together again. And Natalia's facial expression changes. And Michael misses it, just like he misses everything else. He misses the cue as usual. He cannot read the room. Even when he's been in the room from the beginning, he just cannot seem to read the room. That's something that really frustrates me about Michael. So anyway, he has a really good conversation with Natalia, and he explains to her, okay, I need you to keep yourself occupied for an hour. Here's everything you need. This is really important to me. And like I said, he messed up when he said we can get the family back together. So here we go. At first, Natalia genuinely wished Michael good luck. She seemed as though she really meant it until he said what he said. So during the interview, Michael's pretty funny, so he's seeming to have a good rapport with the person that's interviewing him. So during the interview, the doorbell just starts ringing, and then there's banging on the door during this man's very important interview. So he goes to the door. It's a police officer because Natalia and her bad ass, they called 911 because she was hungry. She wanted some pizza. Do you hear me? She wanted some pizza. So she called 911. He asked her, but Natalia, why would you do that? He wanted to know, why would you do that? Why would you call the police? So Natalia said she called for 911 for pizza because she was hungry. Then, when challenged, she said she was bored. And then Michael just said, did you call CPS like mommy thinks? And Natalia comes clean. And she says, I don't want them to come back. I want them to die. All right. Heard it from the horse's mouth. Finally. So anyway, Christine helps her mom in the kitchen. Her mom says that she hates that they're having trouble. And Christine says, no, you don't. And her mom says, you're right. He's an empty shell. And Chris says, actually, he's full of it. So what do you want me to say? She seems to have been trying to be thoughtful and maybe even tender or supportive of her daughter. Okay, like she might have been trying something a little new. Okay, I don't know. But mom is moving a little slow, and she may be at the age where she even has to acknowledge that she may not always be as independent as she likes. She may have to concede in the ways that she does things, in the way she interacts, So instead of her being quite as harsh as she normally is, she actually tries to say something nice. Well, I'm really sorry that you guys are having this trouble, yada, yada, yada. But it seems to me like Christine just completely overlooks the fact that her mother needs some help or whatever. She's just like, let me do it. I could do it faster. Yeah, okay. So anyway, one of the things that Christine's mother told her, they were having a great conversation. She said that that she, meaning Natalia, makes Michael feel big, while you make him feel small. So you think you're better than everyone else. Isn't that why you left home? You thought you were better than us. Now you're out here writing a whole book about how you're a better mother than I am. It's always about the mother. And so one of the things that Chris says is that it appears as though her problems with her mother is that her mother didn't make it safe for them. Um, and she spoke about her father making her drink sugar water and protein. And her mother's response, you were getting a little chubby. It was a diet. And then she said, well, what about eating glass? And then mom is just sort of like, nobody ever ate glass. And she explains how she fought so hard to keep the family together and how, the things that you saw, you really didn't see, how bad it really was because she said she kept it away from them. She kept the worst of it away from them. So then Michael arrives with Natalia, interrupts the conversation, which I thought was such a great conversation. I really wanted them to finish that because they need to talk. And Chris walks right past Michael and confronts Natalia, woman to woman, honey, not no woman to little girl. She said, hi, mommy. She said, don't mommy me. What is it going to take for you to go away? You got your foot surgery. What else do you want? Do you want money? Yeah, Chris is not playing with her. She don't have no time for the shenanigans with Natalia. All right. And then she was like, it hurts my feelings. Why don't you love me? This is how she's talking to Christine. Why don't you love me? Next thing you know, Christina then got pushed into the electric gate. Yep, into the electric fence. She tried to kill Christine again. Again, okay? Again. She tried to. Now, just the other day, she was throwing the stuff out in the street so the kids could get hit by the car. Putting her hands over Christine's eyes to make her crash. Opening up the door on the highway. She done put some chemicals in her drink. She done showed up at her bedroom door with a knife, trying to make her think she's seeing things and so on and so forth. All right, so now she done pushed this woman into an electric gate. Michael says, I'm sorry. I believe you. I'm an idiot. And starts crying. And he admits that she was right and that Natalia is an effing psycho. So Christine, we see her comforting her husband. And, of course, Natalia is on looking and she's jealous. And Christine says, we need to have her committed. So the plan is that Michael is going to take Natalia to Providence to be committed. And while Christine go ahead, she takes the boys home. And by the way, Michael's happy to be with his sons, and they're sort of not paying him any attention because they done found a turtle out there. They more excited about the turtle. And he's like, I miss you guys. And they're like, Dad, come on. It's been one day. Cut it out. Cut it out. We ain't been going long enough for you to miss us. So anyway, I hate that Chris and her mom's conversation was interrupted because they really needed this conversation. It seems like they both need to listen and to hear to at least know the other person's perspective because perception is reality. Chris says she didn't feel protected, and then we hear the mother saying, I kept you from the worst of it. So they need to finish that conversation. So Chris and Michael goes and tries to take her to Natalia to the psychiatric hospital to get her admitted, but they don't have any beds. And that's a common problem, I guess apparently all over the country, that sometimes they just don't have beds. You have to wait for a bed or you got to drive out of the area or something like that. But it's not always easy to get your person into a psychiatric facility. So what they do is they put her in a garage. It's a converted garage, so it's a room, and they get her locked in. They make sure she's safe, all of that good stuff like that. And you can hear Natalia back there. She is just going crazy. She's talking about, I'm going to kill you. I hate you. Let me out. They're worried about the neighbors, and they should be. But I would have driven Natalia to the next city, to the next state, to the next wherever the hell we got to go, because y'all about to take this little thing right here tonight, because I'm not about to do this. We're not doing this. Especially you talking about you're going to kill me. Matter of fact, I'm going to call 911 and let them do an assessment on you and take you and make sure you get the help that you need. But I guess, maybe they didn't have those type of things available to them back in the 90s. I'm not sure. But they get a knock at the door. It's an officer. I'm going to just go through it. He's concerned about, he's getting phone calls and stuff. And he's all about his business. He ain't trying to make no friends. I know what I came to do. You got an open CPS case. The neighbors are calling saying that there's a child screaming, so on and so forth. So he's a Christian, and that's where they connected. He tested her with James 1:27, and she tried to say to him, she was like, look, she was like, I'm a mother, I'm a wife. She was like, and I'm a Christian. That's what she said. She said, she's not well until she gets a room in the hospital. Please, I'm a mother, a teacher, a Christian, and all I'm trying to do is keep my family safe. And she is pleading. She's pleading for understanding. She really is. So Chris explains that Natalia is impersonating a child, and soon, as she got suspicious, CPS was called. And so now she pretty much got them backed up against the wall. So knowing in advance that they would probably not be believed, she was doing all of that pleading. So the officer says she took advantage of your faith and generosity. She hasn't grown at all in the last 4 years. That's one of the reasons he believes her. She's definitely older than she says. He gathers that from his investigative skills as an officer in interrogating individuals. And he told her, you guys could dissolve the adoption, and that it hurts his heart that they felt like, that they couldn't come to him for help. Well, police officers, let you know, law enforcement, no, most of us do not feel comfortable coming to you for help, because when we call you for help, it normally don't go the way it's supposed to go. Okay, so yeah, she ain't feel, even though they not of the melanated, they're not melanated people. Even they didn't feel comfortable calling you guys, because y'all are unpredictable. We don't know what y'all gonna do when you show up on a scene. We don't know if y'all had a bad day, if you fussing with your wife or your kids acting up, and then you come out and see us and want to take it out on us. I've heard of so many people that have called for help, for people who are having a mental health crisis or something of that nature, and they call the police to come out, and that are supposed to be trained to work with this type of situation, come out, and the individual end up dead. Right? So I could imagine Christine and Michael, more so Christine, because Michael don't got no sense, was concerned that, they might end up being arrested. This girl is already spinning these lies and telling these stories and got them paying for surgeries and got a CPS case. Man, she thought she was doing the right thing. But I'd have sat in the lobby all night with that child. I'm going to tell you right now, because as soon as a bed become available, y'all can have her, because I don't know what's going on with this child. So anyway, he explained that it's a legal process to change someone's birth date. It's correcting a clerical error. They could stay on as a legal guardian so that they could make sure that she doesn't do this to anybody else. And he also said he could recommend a lawyer, a gal from his church. So something they had to do for his sister when she came from Tanzania. So clerical thing. So in this final scene, we see the doctors reviewing x-rays and consulting or presenting their findings and discussing it. All right, so this is where I think the story is about to take a turn, because in this final scene, what we see the doctors reviewing the x-rays, and they're consulting with one another, presenting their findings. They're discussing it. And up on the screen, you can see a photo of her hand, x-ray of her hand, x-ray of her foot, x-ray of her pelvis, probably discussing the size of everything for age and so on and so forth. So they met with doctors and lawyers, and they all agreed that Natalia Grace was an adult. They're probably discussing like what's normal, what's abnormal, what the x-rays suggest about her age. So anyway, they're her legal guardian. They paid the rent. What they did is Christine, she let her know that they will be nearby. She discussed the benefits of Natalia's new situation. Christine encourages Natalia that this is a fresh start and that she doesn't have to put on an act anymore. She can just be herself. And that they've taken care of everything for her. They moved her into a one-bedroom apartment. I can't really say it was a one-bedroom. It looked more like a studio to me. But they call it a one-bedroom apartment near their home. Had the fridge filled with all of her favorite foods, new clothes, makeup, bus pass, new ID. Christine coached her on how to discuss her age, and she modeled it for her, like when role play. So she said, if anyone, asks you about your age, you tell them, I'm 22, but I look young for my age. She explained to Natalia what was happening and why. And I like that they did that. She explained that they met with the doctors, they met with the lawyers, and they've determined that you're an adult. And this is how we're going to help you transition. So the judge signed an emergency petition. So it's official. You are an adult. You have to live on your own. So I broke all this down to give her credit. But I disagree with how they did it. You know, like they took care of everything. They made sure the cabinets, refrigerator, she had linen, everything she needed, she had. And she did an excellent job explaining it. But the one thing that I did not like and I did not agree with is that they literally brought her to the house, let her walk in the door, and was like, okay, bye. And when they got outside that door, they were so happy. It was like a breath of fresh air. Woo, waiting to exhale. So I didn't like that. I understand it, but I didn't like it because why do everything else right? They should have allowed her to be a part of that process. The same way she modeled that behavior for her. When someone asks your name, I'm 20 or your age, I'm 22. I just look young for my age. They should have been helping her with the food, with the placement of the food, with making sure the food was within her reach, making sure her favorite foods was, I don't know, they should have taken her and had her be a part of it. Should have took her in the grocery store. That's what you do, you know, to buy the food, help her make up the bed, just help her with that transition. They literally dropped her off. Goodbye. And as much as I say that's probably what I would do, nah, I wouldn't have done that at this point. I would have tried to prepare her and equip her because basically she has been having people do things for her and doing very little for herself for the last 2 years, especially because Michael's been responsible for her. So I feel like they could have did better on that. But Christine told her, no more tricks, no more little kid acts. You've been telling this lie for a long time. You don't have to tell this lie anymore. Do you have anything you want to say? And she said no. And after Natalia walks in, Christine slams the door, and that is the end of episode 4. Thank you guys for participating, for listening. I hope you'll leave me a comment about some of the things we talked about. I want to know what you think about it. Do you think that Kristen or her mom needs to finish that conversation they were having? Do you think that Christine and Michael did the right thing by just walking her in the door and shutting it, and that's it? Anything else that I didn't mention you guys want to talk about, please feel free, drop it down in the comments. And I would really appreciate if you guys gave me a like, because the likes actually help the video to be seen more. And one thing I can say is that doing these reviews, listen to my pages, listen to all my pages, the notes I got. It's so much reading, writing, breaking down, thinking, and, you know, all of that good stuff. So I actually enjoy it. But if you could just give me a like, I would appreciate it so much. And you could subscribe too. That would help me as well. And I am on YouTube as Lady I Am. All right. Thank you guys.